Okay, it's recorded.
It's kind of really dark.
Is there a way to get it a little bit lighter in the audience? Just start. Yeah. Lights up.
A couple weeks ago, Inspires sent out a form to you and had you fill out some survey information, right? So today, you're going to see what that is all about. So we have some guest presenters here from CSUN. They're going to talk to you today and involve you in a workshop activity kind of thing. Yes? All right.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here today. We're so excited to present what we have worked so hard on. We've actually tailored our presentation to all of your responses that we got from you guys. So we're really excited to present this. We are going to be talking to you a little bit about gender inequality. And Rachel is going to start us off with a little personal story.
Thank you, Michelle. All right, so I'm going to share with you guys a little bit of a personal story right now. So just bear with me for a moment. You're fat. You're ugly. You need to lay off the fatty foods and the carbs because you're going to get stomach rolls. People are judging you. You're worthless. You have no value. Get a life. These were the thoughts that followed me every time I went to sleep and woke up at night. And yes, they are as awful as they seem. For years, my favorite thing in the whole world was watching TV, and I cared about that alone and what people thought about me. I would wake up every morning to watch shows like Even Stevens, Lizzie McGuire, and of course, That's So Raven. I'm sure you're all familiar with those. And this is where I got my ideas of what a young girl or a young person should be like and what they should worry about. The right set of jeans, the right brand, being skinny and having that perfect flat stomach, having the perfect hair, making sure my makeup looked just right, and making sure that no matter what happened, I fit in and that I was cool. Now, obviously, Lizzie McGuire and That's So Raven weren't cool, but they definitely gave me lessons about what not to do and what to do so I could be like Kate and the other girls on TV. This seems like a normal part of life, and it probably is. But for me, it wasn't, because this became my reality. I became obsessed with what people thought about me, and I became obsessed with making sure that I looked exactly like those girls that I saw in TV, in the magazines, and that I read about in my books. I started looking up images on the computer back when there was DSL. Yes, it took like 10 minutes to load one image. But that was how I started to get an idea of what a perfect woman was supposed to be. Like I said, skinny, perfect, had this nice body, always was put together. And society told me these kinds of things. I became literally consumed with these thoughts and these practices until I started to exercise too much. I started to starve my body because I thought if I did just this, then I'd be that much closer to the perfection that was presented to me every single day. Facebook was my main source of social media at the time because things like Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter did not exist yet. So Instagram came out when I was a senior in high school. But all of these things helped led and progress to my low point in 2013 when I was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa. And this is a serious disease. 1 in 4 young women in college will either be diagnosed with an eating disorder or have disordered eating habits. And out of all mental illnesses, it claims the most deaths. I'm going to show you some images here. These are pictures from a fashion show in Flagstaff, Arizona in 2013, so just 2.5 years ago. Yes, this is me. And at this point in my life, I weighed 100 pounds, and for that day, all I did was eat a piece of toast with peanut butter, 2 strawberries, and a handful of edamame. And I did this because I had to look perfect in this midriff that I was fashioning for a show judged by Whitney Port. Whitney Port was one of my idols growing up, and I was obsessed with making sure that I looked absolutely flawless and absolutely perfect. I want you guys to know, though, that this is not reality. That even though some people tell you that this is beautiful, this is not beautiful. This is not healthy, okay? And I want you guys, as you're looking at these images, to realize that this is what we're told is what we need to be and what we need to look like and what is okay. Now, it's been 2.5 years, and I have successfully regained a lot of the weight that I lost, and I have successfully been able to transition into what is a healthy body image and what society has told me is actually not true. And so I want you guys, as you're going through the rest of this presentation, to really reflect and understand that social media has so much power over us, and this is all that talks about my self-esteem. It's going to have effect on your self-esteem and how you guys think about yourself, how you shape your identities, and as we're going to talk to you even more about today, it actually has power over gender inequality. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Rachel. As you guys can see, social constructs directly affect us every single day, in our every single day lives as well. A lot of these problems stem from social media. So now Lindsay is going to tell us a little bit about these problems.
Thank you, Michelle. So we have a problem. And don't hate me when I tell you that it's social media. Because social media is my best friend, and I sometimes treat it like it's my first child. Serious. I wake up, my whole day is engrossed with, whenever I'm not in class or whenever I'm not at work, I'm constantly in my phone, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. It's even one of my jobs. I'm a blogger. So it's a tool that could be so powerful, but we also need to realize that we follow some really incredible people, but gender inequality is also very much present within their photos they present as well. And I'm subconscious to it, and but we're all not immune to it. So we asked you some of your top followers, and we had to agree on some of the followers too. So next we're all, as a group, going to look at 3 cases of top people on Instagram, Twitter, social media platforms, and see how their affiliated female identity and their affiliated male identity is shaping how we see ourselves as well. So first, we of course have Kylie Jenner and Kendrick Lamar. With a raise of hands, with a raise of hands, who thinks Kylie Jenner looks more powerful between the 2 photos? Okay. Next, who thinks Kendrick Lamar looks more powerful between the 2 photos? Thank you for your participation. Let's look at it more critically. We have Kylie Jenner who's laying down, not looking at the camera, not focused on the audience, and she looks as if she's in a least powerful state on the ground. She's not ready, like in a fight or flight kind of stance, a powerful stance. With Kendrick Lamar who's taking up all his space, which shows power and his control over his body, and he's looking straight into the camera. What message does this send the girls in the room of how we're supposed to portray ourselves, whether it's on camera or in reality, and for the men in the room? We did an exercise in one of our classes, and our teacher asked none of us to move and see how all the boys are sitting in their seats and how all the girls are sitting in their seats. Sorry, women and men. And you're all very lovely and handsome young women and men. So all the girls were generally cross legs, kind of more in a reserved, smaller state, while the men took up more space. So it's a really interesting dynamic going on here. So let's see the next comparison. We have Bad Blood singing Taylor Swift and LeBron James. I know the picture's a little dated, but I'm from Miami, so I'm still a little upset about the whole ordeal. So here we see Taylor Swift and LeBron with a very fierce, strong gaze, which is generally very popular with men in media. But let's focus more on the objects and how they're holding them. We can see LeBron gripping the object, having very much control over the object, while Taylor Swift's dainty hands kind of just complement the object, where it makes her an object as well, complementing this apple. Why isn't she the main focus? He has control over the basketball. And let's also look at the objects themselves. The basketball is generally affiliated with men, with sports, with masculinity. An apple, food, is generally an object that's affiliated with women. I know that may sound extreme, but when we look at stuff more critically, it's really interesting to see how ads and media and how our favorite people on social media are exemplifying this gender inequality. So yeah, why isn't Taylor Swift holding like a microphone or her billions of dollars when she as well? Lastly, we have my beautiful man Justin Bieber and Kendall Jenner. Both of them, despite their personal lives, are very credible in the occupations they chose. Both very talented, most successful model right now, and he's selling more albums than, well, second to Adele, but he's very So with their credibility, they were asked by one of the biggest fashion designers and underwear models to pose for the same ad, basically. But we're seeing something really interesting happen here. Maybe you're starting to see a pattern. We have a very hyper-masculine Justin Bieber who's trying to teach us what masculinity is all about. He's very big, muscly, tattooed, and has a half-naked woman on him, wanting him. Then we have Kendall Jenner, who's just as powerful in our social media and throughout our celebrities right now. I bet a lot of you follow her as well. But she's hiding behind her fingers, yet her body's still open for the audience. So what is this teaching us? Is this making us feel a little uncomfortable? What's going on here? So here are the statistics, which is pretty sad for our generation and the younger generations, what's going on. To the left, we have some statistics about what happens to girls with insecurities, and this can definitely stem from social media, as well as the boys to the right. So it's not just girls who are so obsessive with their looks as well. Both of the sexes and all genders included are being oppressed here because we're having very narrow binary females and males presented in our newsfeed, and not all of us are presented. So where do we fit in?
So thank you, Lindsay, for sharing about some of the problems that we see in social media. Obviously, a lot of these things are these are people that affect us, our everyday lives. We see them on TV, on our phones, on our Snapchats, on our Instagram pages. So these are some of the problems that we see, but what causes these problems? So Michelle's going to go ahead and share that with us today. Thank you, Rachel.
Alrighty, so the cause is obviously media and advertisements, and this constant debate on masculinity versus femininity. So let's start with the basics. What is gender? What is this concept of gender? Well, gender is a socially constructed portrayal of masculinity and femininity. And let's go back. So, what does this mean, socially constructed? Essentially, it means that we make up a set of imaginary rules that we try to basically align with what it means to be masculine and feminine. So we make up these rules, and we basically tell society and ourselves that we need to follow these rules in order to portray ourselves as masculine and feminine. And where do these problems come from? Social media. Social media, by definition, is websites and other online means of communication that are used by large groups of people to share information and to develop social and professional contacts. So all these problems are stemming from social media. Things like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, you name it. I probably have one too. And so now I'd like to break down the social constructs of gender. The media portrays men stereotypically. What do you guys think some of these stereotypes might be? We've already taken a look at some of them. Here is a list of some of them. Most of the pictures and advertisements that we see are, the men are white, they're strong, they're alert and conscious of their surroundings. They're standing upright, their eyes are fierce and looking straight at their audience. Their bodies are they're in control of their bodies, and they have a mean expression on their face. Sometimes their hands are in their pockets, kind of near their private parts. They usually have a very serious face. They're physically attractive, they're dominant, and most importantly, they are in no way feminine. So here is a picture of, again, our favorite, Justin Bieber. And in this picture on the left, you guys see Justin in control of this object that we like to call women, apparently, in this picture. And he is claiming his dominance over her while she is kind of in a very vulnerable position where she has absolutely no control over the situation. And he's looking directly into the camera, basically claiming that this is his moment, and she's not even, like, she doesn't even look alive. And then in this picture over here on the right, we have him again in a very athletic pose, claiming dominance again, power, looking like he's ready to charge at any moment. So next we have, we went ahead and Googled masculine for you guys so that you didn't have to do this after class. And this is basically what it means to be masculine. Again, all of these pictures, they're all white men. They all have, are very muscular. They look, I don't know about you guys, but this is not my idea of men in general. And it's definitely not what seems to be true in our every single day lives. So I'd like to show a little clip of our favorite, Jackson Katz, and he is going to delve a little deeper into these problems.